Do you think governments will stop printing money? Do you see the trend that we're on? Do you think governments will continue to censor and control you more, or are they going to decide tomorrow to wake up and just give you all your freedoms back? Most people don't know what money is. And I know that sounds weird because we all use money every day. We have it in our pocket. We pay our bills with money. We think we know what money is, but you don't really understand what it is, what makes a good money or a bad money, how money coordinates economies. And so that's a big subject. But so without understanding that, it's very hard to even understand Bitcoin because I don't even understand money. And I think I do. And then a lot of times because I think I do, then I overlook it. But what I would say is it takes time. There's an evolutionary process. So throughout millennia, thousands of years, we've had different forms of money. So remember, this is a key piece. Nobody wants money. We want the things that money buys us. We want the food, we want the car, the gas, the house. We want the things, not the money. The money is just a medium of exchange. It allows me to exchange for the things I want. So throughout millennia, there's been several forms of money: shells, rocks, feathers, gold, obviously, for 5,000 years. But those things are emergent, and there's an evolutionary process. It starts first being a collectible. Oh, this is a really cool feather. I'm going to collect this feather. They start as collectibles. Eventually, maybe they could evolve into a store of value. And we see this today. Rich people all around the world are storing their wealth, storing their value in fine art, in cars, in collectibles, right? So they went from a collectible to a store of value. Now, if they have the right attributes of money, it could evolve into the next phase, which would be a medium of exchange. Now, that needs to have several core attributes, including it must be divisible. You can't divide fine art. It must be portable. You can't really move a car around. It must be durable. You wouldn't want to put it in bananas. It must be recognizable. Everyone must understand what it is. It must be fungible. So one piece is worth one piece. Fine art's not that. And so it needs to have those attributes. If it does, then it could move into the medium of exchange realm. And so that's kind of this evolutionary process, and then eventually the unit of account where things are priced in that. And so we're in this evolutionary realm right now. We're going from we went from a collectible to a store of value. Now you hear all the time that Bitcoin's a store of value. But now we're moving into the medium of exchange. It's going there because it has all the attributes. As a matter of fact, it has the best attributes of any other option in the world today. As far as why it takes time, well, anytime there's a new technology, there's something known as the diffusion of innovation. It's like this bell curve. And you have the creators in the beginning, it's about 5 to 7%. Then you have the true believers. These are the guys that see it and they believe in it. That gets you to about 15% adoption. Then there's a piece called the chasm before the early majority and late majority come in. And the chasm is where there has to be a mental shift where I don't have to know how it works. I just use it because it's better. And so let me explain. I have kids. My kids just think everything's a touchscreen now. I don't have to explain to them what a touchscreen is, why it's better than a mouse screen, whatever. I don't have to explain to them how the face shows up on the phone. They just use it. And so at some point, you stop wanting to know how it works and you just use it. And so a lot of times Bitcoin are like, well, tell me how this mining works and tell me about so we have to get past that, and we are. And so most of that is happening overseas in very poor, distressed countries. So from a U.S., let's say a developed world viewpoint, most of the U.S., Europe, Australia, Canada, et cetera, our money works pretty good. Like I'm sitting in a bar in downtown New York, drinking a $15 Manhattan going, what's wrong with my money? But if you're one of 3 billion people living under double to triple digit inflation under harsh authoritarian regimes, for example, you're a woman in Afghanistan, and the Taliban takes all your money, then your money is broken. If you're in Turkey or you're in Lebanon and you just watched your money valuation just fall off a cliff and then the bank's locked up and you can't even get your money out, you don't need to be told why you need a different money. You already know. And so in those places, they're moving to Bitcoin in hordes. As a matter of fact, 80% of all transactions under $1,000 on Bitcoin are being done in Africa because they need it, right? So as human beings, we only move when the pain is high enough. And so again, in Australia, Canada, US, Europe, the pain's not really that high. I mean, sure, we're seeing 20% inflation. It's not 100% inflation. And so eventually the pain will get high enough for everybody. And I would just, I'll kind of wrap it up with this. I would just say the two main things that it's really fighting or helping with right now is one, in governments inflating away stealing money, either through inflation or through censoring transactions. No, you can't give to this protest. No, you can't give to this candidate, or Afghanistan, North Korea, right? So one, theft. censorship, and those two things. And so then I would just ask the audience, do you think governments will stop printing money? That's number one. And number two, do you see the trend that we're on? Do you think governments will continue to censor and control you more, or are they going to decide tomorrow to wake up and just give you all your freedoms back? And if you understand the trend, then you'll see why Bitcoin adoption is almost inevitable. I have a newsletter that we write, and we kind of have a system. So we help people really hone in and identify exactly where it is they're going and help them think through all that. We have a bunch of tools and sheets they can use, and then also then figure out where they're at, and then help them make that plan. So the system is a series of questionnaires and tools that we have to help you identify, be clear on that, and then we have the newsletter that then identifies which assets that you should be buying. And we kind of put them into four buckets, or as I call them, four pillars. So investing for growth. This kind of gets back to the Bitcoin stuff, the commodities, things like that. Energy, investing for cash flow. Of course, I talked about that. Keeping cash as one of the four pillars. And then I call chaos hedge insurance. This is gold and things like that. And so then once you figured out what your exact allocations are, where you're going, where you're at, then we write the newsletter that recommends the assets that you could put in that, tracks them in a portfolio, has a community so everybody could be in there sharing information, working together towards a common goal. And it's been really successful. I've been writing that for several years, and it's a lot of fun. Hey, this is Mark Moss, and you are watching Think Smart Education.